Hello, guys. Look who I found right outside our classroom window. Isn't he just so cute? He is adorable. But, anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started because today we have a lot to cover. We're focusing on learning how to divide using the long division method. And I want to encourage you to please have a pencil and a piece of paper right in front of you so you can take notes and do additional practice. Long division is as simple as memorizing the people in this family. We have a dad, a mom, a sister, a brother, and of course, we couldn't go out without our little pet, Rambo. And each person in this family represents a step in the long division process. Dad represents division, mom represents multiplication, the little sister represents subtraction, the brother represents bringing down the next digit in the dividend, and our little pet Rambo represents a reminder to either repeat the entire process and start over with dad or go ahead and make our difference our remainder. So let's see what this looks like in this problem. We have Madison who has $95. She wants to split her money equally between her two friends, Layla and Gabby. How much money will each friend receive? I always like to encourage my students to read a problem to at least twice just so they can visualize what's going on and understand the problem. So let's go ahead and do that. Madison has $95. That's her total. She's splitting her money equally between her two friends, Layla and Gabby. How much money will each friend receive? So I'm seeing keywords here that lead me to think of an operation, but I want to see if you can come up with it. So just to make sure that we're understanding this, we're seeing the word splitting her money equally. So basically, we're grouping her total amount into equal groups. Huh, what operation is that? Well, if you came up with division, you are correct. In a problem like this, we are dividing our total amount of 95. We're dividing it amongst her two friends, Layla and Gabby. And before we get started, I do want to highlight the times table that's right next to our bulletin board. And the reason why I'm including this is not because knowing your times table is not important, but because in this specific video, I want you to focus on learning the steps of doing long division and not necessarily focusing on whether or not you know your times table or not. Although I encourage you to please learn your times table because it's going to make doing math and working with numbers so much easier. All right? So, again, please feel free to make reference to this times table as much as you need it. The first step is to divide. And the great thing about long division is that it allows us to take one number at a time as opposed to focusing on the full 95. We're just going to focus in this step on the 9. We're going to ask ourselves, what is 9 divided by 2? Or you can ask yourself how many 2's fit into 9, or you can also ask yourself 2 times what gives you 9? Please feel free to use your times table. And here we see that the 2 times table is skip counting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 is way too much. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the 8. And the other factor that's missing here, 2 times 4 gives you 8. And we're going to write that quotient directly above the number that you just divided into. The next step is multiplication. We're going to go ahead and multiply our divisor by our partial quotient. So what is 2 times 4, guys? Let's see who knows their times table. And if you said 8, you are correct. You're going to write that product, the 8, directly under the 9, since that's the number that you just divided into. The next step is to subtract, and we're going to go ahead and subtract 9 minus 8. So if we were back in the classroom, this would be the point where everyone wants to raise their hands, eager to answer this question. So let's see. What is 9 minus 8? Good job. If you answered 1, you are correct. You're going to use what is left, which is 1, to continue dividing. And I do want to highlight that the 1 here has a value of 10. Notice that the 9 was in the tens place value. So therefore, since you have 1/10 left, the 1 really represents a 10. Next comes the brother who's going to remind us to bring down the next number in your dividend. As you already know, we're already divided by 9, so we're going to go ahead and bring down the next digit, which is the 5, and we're going to place it directly next to our 1. Our new dividend has now become 15 and not 95. Then comes Rambo, who's going to remind us to either repeat the process and start with Dad or record your remainder. Now, this is where you have to decide if you're done dividing, and if so, what's left becomes your remainder. However, I do want to highlight that since the 15 is bigger than the divisor, meaning the 2, we know that we are not done. This means we need to repeat the division process and start over with Dad. Now Dad reminds us once again to divide. So in this case, we're going to divide the 15, again, not the 95, but the 15, and we're going to divide it in groups of 2. So ask yourself, how many 2's fit into 15? 2 times what gets me close to 15, since I know that 2 times nothing gives me 15. Once again, you can always reference to your times table. 2 times 7 gives me a 14. So therefore, we're going to go ahead and we're going to write that quotient directly above the number that you just divided into, which in this case was the 5. So we're going to place the 7 directly above it. Then comes Mom, who reminds us to multiply. So we're going to go ahead and multiply our divisor by the 7. And that's going to give me a product of 14, which we're going to place directly under the 15, since that's the number that you just divided into. Our little sister is going to remind us to subtract. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 15 minus 14, which in this case gives us a 1. You got it. Now this represents what's left over from the 15. The brother's going to remind us to bring down the next digit. However, I just noticed that there is nothing else to bring down. Therefore, we need to move on to the next step, which is our little Rambo. And Rambo is basically going to remind us to either keep our difference as the remainder or start over with division. But in this case, since there's nothing else to bring down and I have a 1 which is smaller than our divisor, this lets us know that we are actually done. We can't continue dividing this digit because it's too small. It's smaller than our divisor. So therefore, let's go back to the problem where Madison has $95 and she's splitting it amongst her 2 friends. Notice that it's not asking how much money did Madison have left or how much did Madison keep. It's asking how much did she give each of her friends, which in this case, it would be $47. We're going to go ahead and we're going to ignore our remainder of $1. This dollar, Madison's just going to keep in her pocket for the next time, if anything, because it's not relevant. The question once again is how much does she give each of her friend? Well, guys, I hope that this video helped you today on the steps to do long division. If you enjoyed this video, just go ahead and smash that thumbs up button below and share it out with your friends, teachers, or even parents. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos. Thank you for watching.